Hi, great to see everyone here. Great to see so many people turn out in person and in virtual. It's quite unusual to see. So by means of introduction, I'm Nick Primer, the lead analyst here at WBA. I sort of focus or sort of lead particularly on the energy and decarbonisation side of the market. But this presentation is going to look at some of the data and analysis that we have here at the association, and how we can use it to influence governments and sort of, lobby and drive change globally, and look at some of the tools that you as members also have access to, and you can use within your own business or your own lobbying efforts as well. So again, the data and modelling was really developed for our most recent report, which was Biogas Pathways 2030. So that pretty extensive and comprehensive report released earlier in April. It's been getting some great engagement from everyone worldwide. So it's already been viewed over 4,500 times from 85 different countries worldwide. So it's important that more and more people are learning about AD and biogas and its values and what it can really deliver in terms of their own individual targets, whether it's decarbonisation or increasing renewable energy production. But crucially, we need to get into that data and all of that evidence base behind it to really convince people that this is the way forward in terms of organic recycling. So taking a closer look in particular at the cost modelling, and this is what this presentation will focus on. So the WBA have developed a cost model tool. This, again, like I say, is accessible for all WBA members. And it's also a work in progress. So by all means, take a look, use it, play around with it and test it and feed back to us. And we want to continually improve this. The more accurate our data is, the more influence it can have on governments and companies worldwide. So this tool itself estimates the capital and operational costs of an AD plant over its lifetime. It's informed using data from real-world data from 64 plants. They are all based in the UK, so it is a very much a UK-based model, but we have tried to adapt it so it's applicable worldwide. And this is, again, one of those key things we want to be testing and improving on to make sure that, its output is applicable worldwide. So this is what the model looks like. It is in Excel, and hopefully everyone will be able to use it, being in Excel. And I've tried to make it as simple to use and accessible as possible. So I'll quickly run through how to use it, what it produces, and then how we can work together to really promote its findings. So firstly, you need to input the size of the plant, and that is measured in kilowatt capacity, and that's capacity of the biogas, not of the electricity if you're feeding it into a CHP. This is the biogas capacity of the plant in question. You can also see on the left, I've classified them into 5 different sizes. So there's micro, small, medium, large, and very large. So using this as an example, if you have a 5,000 kilowatt plant, that falls under the medium classification. So in this row, you can put it in the medium as 5,000 kilowatts, producing around 36,000 megawatt hours of biogas per year. Then also add the operational capacity. So how much of a time through the year are you expecting it to be running at full capacity? And here are some suggested operational capacities to input. So, ideally, plants should be aiming for that 92% plus operational capacity, as in it's operating for 92% of the year. And here you can see, so other sort of metrics are 8,000 hours. I know some plants work to that. They want to be working for 8,000 hours within a year, which equates to about a 91.3% operational capacity. The next thing to input is the expected life cycle. So how long do you want your plant to be running? And the sort of real driver of this is how long do you have support for? So all of your support schemes in different countries, do they provide that price guarantee or a tariff rate for a set amount of time? Is it 15 years, 20 years? less, this is where you can change that to look at operational costs over that life cycle. And finally, you can input your country and currency. So in this, I have only got 3 currencies. It's pound sterling, US dollars, and euros. But that should just help convert everything into, a currency that's most useful for your own market. And then in terms of the country, this uses a price level index. So because everything is based on UK plants, or the data that informs this model is from UK plants, that is basically taken as a 1. And then this price level index tries to adjust all of the different, it adjusts prices according to the country you're in. So for example, Denmark, it's slightly higher, and perhaps I think Kenya is one of the lower end, and it adjusts all the prices accordingly. Again, it's just an estimate for the difference in prices around the world, and it's not specific to the biogas industry. So again, this is something that we really want to improve and work on, trying to improve this accuracy worldwide. So it's not just UK or Western centric. So it can really be applied in any market. So all of those cells in yellow are editable. So once those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of data are input, you can then start looking at the output. And so here you can see the construction cost. So in this case, £9.5 million, operational cost over the 15-year period, 15 years being the life cycle specified. So that's £18.75 million over the 15 years. And then the total, just adding those together, the total cost over its entire life cycle. And then here as well, also got an estimated cost of production. So how much are you spending per kilowatt hour of energy produced? Again, that can help provide an estimate for the level of support or the price, the energy price market required to support that development of the plant. So there are various ways that we can start using this data, and we have used this data both in the report and in our lobbying efforts. So the first one being is you can estimate the investment required to reach full potential. So in a global sense, and taken from the report, we estimate there's about $45 trillion is required to build every AD plant worldwide to process the 105 billion tons of organic waste societies produce each year. In the UK, we've sort of boiled that down, and we estimate it's about £20 billion capex to reach the UK's full potential. And these figures, even though they seem kind of unobtainable, they're huge amounts of money, you can start putting it into context and comparing to other sectors. So for example, in the UK, the government have recently greenlit a £20 billion investment for a single nuclear power station. So you can either get one nuclear power station or the UK's biogas industry operating at full potential. This is you can start comparing all of the deliverables from those two comparators, the energy produced, the decarbonisation potential, the number of jobs created, all of these different things to appeal to those government and policymakers. You can also then start to contextualise the benefits. So start comparing the costs of deliverables. So again, if you want to think about decarbonisation and what technologies deliver the greatest carbon savings, you can start comparing to other technologies. Here you can see AD stacks up really nicely against offshore wind. So this accounts for all of the carbon savings beyond just energy generation. If you start thinking about the avoided methane emissions, the avoided fertilizer emissions, and additional carbon sequestration from the biogas, you can see that AD really stacks up as a comparative technology to offshore wind. And it's greatly better, delivers far more carbon savings than solar PV for the money you invest in it. So again, that can also encourage governments, particularly if there's one key thing they want to deliver. And finally, you can also start looking at return on investment. So more on the commercial side, you can say, right, we know how much a plant will cost to build and operate. Are the market conditions sufficient to provide a return on investment? And you can start thinking about, well, what's a realistic wholesale energy price we can get? They need government support, certificates. Is there a carbon price and carbon certification scheme? Can we self-digestate? And what's the value of the bio-CO2 from the biogas? And when you consider all of those different income streams for an AD plant, you can start balancing that and seeing when and if and when you'd get that return on investment. So, so that is the model. And like I say, it's available for all WBA members. And I think we can circulate it with communications after this members meeting. So the next steps for it is first review its accuracy. If everyone here can, take a look, play around with some data, and if you've got a new AD plant being developed in say Italy, why don't you try and put in those variables into our model and see if the costs that it produces are similar to the costs you're seeing in real life. Is it higher or lower? Please let me know. Be really great to sort of improve the model and get more data feed in. Also share that market information. So again, from the last presentation, all of that information about the wholesale energy price and the government subsidies available, if you know how much money you're getting for that biomethane, that can be fed into the model too. So we can start looking at the return on investment and start identifying those strongest markets worldwide and where AD makes the most sense sort of commercially already. And also we can identify some key government targets. If one country particularly wants to focus on greening the gas grid and biomethane production, then we can focus on how AD is the most cost-effective way of doing so. It's requiring minimal infrastructure changes, utilizing existing gas grids, produce a green version of fossil natural gas. You can start comparing different technologies at their ability to deliver that greening of the gas grid. So yeah, like I say, it will be shared the tool will be shared in the post meeting. So so that concludes a sort of overview of the cost modelling. Like I say, please contact me with any questions relating to the model, or if you have any data you wish to add and help build it and improve it, I'll be happy to hear. Thank you very much.
Great, Nick, thank you very much. That was very helpful and very interesting. Do we have any questions from people in this room? Any questions from those of you attending virtually? There's a question from Thomas Minter in the chat.
Yeah, I can see. So he said, a simple questionnaire to members for the info you want. That's something I can do. I'll include that, in the posts follow-up. That'd be really interesting. Essentially, the core point is how much does it cost? How much does a plant take to build, and how much does it take to operate per year? And then some sort of metadata around the plant size and, is it a biomethane or CHP plant? All of that information, but I can include that in the follow-up.
Great, Nick, and we've got one question here from Amir Akbari from ANESA. Which
what's the purpose of this tool, and what's the goal for it?
So the question is, what's the purpose of the tool and what's the goal in developing it?
The purpose of the tool is to build our evidence base, so we can start understanding the value of AD and quantify the benefits it delivers. So yeah, the purpose is developing that evidence so we can build our understanding of the industry and the effect technologies, new policies can have on the sort of economic model of AD.
Okay, great. Thank you, Nick. Here's a question from Samir Dondoun. Especially the type of collection, separated bio-waste or needing pre-treatment effect on CapEx and OpEx. Is that a statement or a question?
I think the question is also about can you say mix used as a feedstock? So, so the data used to develop the model, like I said, it comes from 46 different plants. And with that, there is a range of different feedstocks. Some are food wastes, some are agricultural plants, some are crop plants. It really is quite a broad mix. But without more data, it's harder to break that down into by feedstock. It's something I'd really love to do. So absolutely, the more data we can have, the more we will be able to do that. Individual questions about, say, crop plants, I can see how much data we have and start looking at a more sort of case-by-case basis, but I was apprehensive about putting it into the model as such, just because limited by the data available. You know, if you're starting to base assumptions on just one or two plants, you really do lose that accuracy.
Great. Any more questions for Nick? One from Alan Beasley in the chat.
Yep. Alan says, would you consider also using it as means to access productivity across plant to market? Understanding plant efficiency would also help improve output as lobby. Yeah, I think that's also where the so the model really plays on the costs of it, but the next step to that, and it is included within the spreadsheet, but to work on that is how technologies and plants can improve revenue streams, and that could be through increased efficiencies, new technologies to unlock sort of new products or higher value products. I think that's, yeah, a really important stage of it, and sort of balancing cost and income.
Great, thank you, Nick. Any more questions from anybody? One more from Naveen Shrestha.
Plants that you have considered have same output. So the 46 plants used to input, create. No, these are all different sizes. They are from the very small, almost sort of micro scale plants, all the way up to your really massive biomethane to grid plants. Yeah, it's relatively evenly distributed across all of those different plants. You know, there's plants of all different sizes. But again, that's another thing to consider, and it's all part of the complexity of the market. Is the number of feedstock sizes, and you can really have there's countless different setups. So that's part of the difficulty, but yeah.
Excellent. Last chance for questions. No, in that case, Nick, thank you very much. That was very helpful indeed. And as you say, the model is there for members to use. So if you have any questions about it, you want to access the model, then please contact Nick.